Hello and welcome to episode 22, my merry band of O-Satters, episode 22 of the Sockmatician podcast. I am Nathan Taylor, also known as Sockmatician here on YouTube, also on Ravelry, Instagram and Twitter. And for those of you who don't know already, I have a Ravelry group, Sockmatician. Please go over there and join in the conversation. I have a YouTube channel, which is this one, so if you want to keep up to date with everything about my designs and my podcasting life, then you can subscribe here. I also release lots of tutorials for different knitting techniques as and when I get the time to do them. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter as Sockmatician in both cases, and I am also in possession of a website, sockmatician.com, which is basically just a springboard to all those other forms of contact. But I do host or have a newsletter, and you can sign up on newsletter, the website, sockmatician.com / I'll try that again. And it's going so well so quickly. Sockmatician.com / newsletter, and you can sign up there. And I don't bombard people with newsletter episodes, just or editions I should say. I just send them out usually when I've got a new pattern out, or if there's something important that I want to impart to you all. There might be access to some exclusive Sockmatician discounts on there as well, just for newsletter subscribers. Far be it from me to try and tempt anybody. So, what have I been up to? It's been, this is episode 22. It's a beautiful spring day. There's white fluffy clouds with a touch of darkness to them. We're in May now. It's the 3rd of May, but it's not really out of April showerville, I don't think. Ben and I have been out already. We went down to Jackson's Lane, which is a community centre / art space / theatre that's just a little bit further down the road behind me. That's the main road out there, out of those windows. A bit further down the street, at the end of this terrace of buildings, it's a converted church, and it's been turned into an art space. It has a cafe, and you do classes there, and there's a theatre space as well. And the reason I'm bringing it up is we went down there to Ben was doing some work on his latest script. I went, and you'll be pleased to know, I was working on writing up the scarf pattern, which is my double knitted and brioche scarf that has a skull and crossbones design on it in double knit lace. So that's getting there. I'm very close to that. I've just got there's one little technique that I can't really remember how I did it. So the double yarn overs, I'm sure it's very simple. I just need to sort of get a swatch on the needles and have a go at that. And then I'm just checking. Sorry, I thought I was just looking to see if my timer was still going, and I couldn't see it, and it looked like my phone had stopped recording. That's really dull information. Sorry about that. Yeah, so the scarf is nearing-ish completion, apart from getting these double yarn over technique. I need to record a video for that before I put the pattern up, because I always like to have video tutorials for all the techniques used in any of my patterns, as many of you will already know. So there we were, down at Jackson's Lane, and the reason I bring up Jackson's Lane is one of the founder members of Jackson's Lane as an art space was the late great playwright Sir Arnold Wesker, who died very recently. Now, Arnold was a wonderful friend of Ben's. They've known each other for over 20 years, and Ben was incredibly sad when he died. Arnold was always very much a mentor for Ben, and Ben credits Arnold with his music writing career. At the time they met, Ben was studying, he'd done his music degree and was studying to become a theatre director. And Arnold came to one of his shows and got familiar with Ben's music, and it was Arnold that said, I think you should write more stuff. And he commissioned Ben to write the songs for a play that he'd written himself. So that the two of them collaborated on this musical, turning the play into a musical. And the show was called Letter to a Daughter, which was performed at the Royal Court and up at the Edinburgh Festival. And that started a very, very long friendship, and Arnold was always an honest and interesting mentor for Ben, and wouldn't just sort of massage his ego if Arnold felt that Ben was doing things that weren't quite up to what Arnold wanted Ben's standard to be, he would always tell him. And it's very rare that somebody in our lives will, without any kind of edge or ego or any reasons for themselves to tell you nasty things, will tell you things that aren't necessarily the easiest things to hear. Always useful and always right. So we went to Arnold's funeral down in Brighton recently, and it was very sad. I didn't get to know Arnold very well. I'd only met him a few times over the years, and he'd been suffering from Parkinson's disease for the last few years, so we hadn't seen a great deal of him, although he and Ben had been in touch within the, sort of the last 12 months. And Ben had been down to see him. And I do remember very fondly, Arnold has sung Ben's music twice, which I think is very fitting, because obviously Ben credits Arnold with his career as a composer, and Ben has him recorded twice. He sings a passage in Ben's Requiem, which, for any of you who might not know this, Ben has written an amazing requiem called the London Requiem, based on the traditional Latin texts, as well as it's been augmented with inscriptions that Ben has collected from gravestones in cemeteries around London. That's why it's the London Requiem, and Requiem is all about death and moving on. So this seemed very appropriate. And what you get is this these incredibly personal messages coming through the mush of the Latin, which is kind of impenetrable to an English ear. And one of the gravestone messages is the inscription on Arnold Wesker's own mother's grave. And he sings the words inscribed on his own mother's grave. It could not be more personal, and it's really, really lovely. But the first time Ben recorded Arnold singing, Arnold asked Ben to write the incidental music and the title song for a radio play that he'd written called The Rocking Horse, which was broadcast on the BBC World Service, I think about 8 years ago. And that was the first time I met Arnold. We went to his house to teach Arnold the song that Ben had written, and I was there to teach. I was singing the song and teaching it to Arnold so that he could record it. Now, I feel sad about this, but when we were in the recording studio with Arnold, because he was already a 75-year-old man by that point, and his voice was charmingly elderly. I genuinely mean that. That's not any kind of euphemism. It had so much character and so much life behind it, although it wasn't the most wonderful, powerful, big, bold, brash singing voice. I thought it was beautiful, and unfortunately the producers of the radio play, for backup purposes, they said at the time, they wanted me to record a version of the vocal just in case they found that Arnold's for any reason wasn't usable. Sadly, they didn't use Arnold's, they used mine. So although that's a source of pride for me, for my vocal to have been used in the radio broadcast, I think Arnold's was nicer. I think it was more honest and more real. But Ben has managed to get hold of all of the sort of recorded takes and put together a version of Arnold singing it. So we have that, and it's very special. And he's also, if you head over to Ben's website, benjamintill.com, you can hear the song called The Rocking Horse Song, and we've put together a version where I start singing it and then Arnold's voice takes over halfway through. So we got to work together on that, which was lovely. So Arnold, we miss you very much. Since then, Tuesday last week was very, very exciting. Ben and I went to the O2, which is the Millennium Dome, for those overseas viewers who may not understand what the O2 is. It's now a concert venue, and we went to see ELO in concert. Jeff Lynne's ELO. Amazing. Ben has been the biggest fan of ELO all the way through his life. They're one of the biggest influences, outside ABBA, of course, on his musical writing. So Arnold credited with kickstarting his career, ELO absolutely credited with influencing it at every stage of the game. And for Christmas, I bought Ben 2 tickets for the concert in April, which was last week. So we went off there, and we're not really concert goers, I have to say. We're not the kind of people who go out gigging all the time. I don't like loud environments. I much rather sit chatting to somebody. And the O2 is huge and very loud. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was amazing. I've only really known ELO's music since I've known Ben, but that's been nearly 14 years, so it's quite a large part of my life. And so I don't have the childhood memories that he has, but I really do enjoy their music. It's vibrant and it's stirring and it's joyful and exuberant, and all of that really, really came across. But before we even got to seeing them on stage, their support act, their warm-up, was a band called The Feeling. Now, I'm a huge fan of The Feeling, and I had no idea. It said on the tickets, ELO in concert with special guests, and it didn't mention who they were. Whether or not they had been booked by the time I bought the tickets, I don't know. Whether that came later, these things I suppose are always subject to change. But I love The Feeling. I've got both of their first 2 albums. I didn't realise they've had so many more since. They've done 2 more, and a third, well, 5th in total, has just been released. So I will be getting those. But the big thrill for us was the last time we saw The Feeling live. In fact, the only other time we saw The Feeling live was at our wedding. The Feeling were the band who played us up the aisle singing an acoustic version of God Only Knows by the Beach Boys. And it was a really, really special moment. We're both big fans of their work. And Dan Gillespie-Sells, who is the lead singer, is a really, really lovely chap. And it was lovely meeting him at our wedding and having them part of it. And they did a fantastic job. Really, really lovely. So we were both very excited. We didn't know until they walked on stage. We went, hang on, that's The Feeling. And there they were, and it was a real joy, a real joy. They were amazing live, really, really tight. The musicians, the band, who are the musicians behind The Feeling, behind Dan singing, are amazing. The vocals sounded fantastic, and for them as well, their music kind of is in a similar sort of feel to ELO. I think they were the perfect accompaniment band for an ELO concert, and they did say that they'd been a huge influence on their lives and their music, and what a thrill it was for them to be supporting, in their words, their heroes on stage. So that was lovely, really, really nice. And then on came ELO, and it was hit after hit after hit after hit. From Evil Woman to Don't Bring Me Down, and of course finishing with Mr. Blue Sky, where the audience just erupted. The visuals were fantastic, the band were amazing, it was just brilliant. What I don't like about concerts, and this is me being a grumpy old man, what I don't like is I had a seat and I was barely in it because everyone in front stands up. Every time there was a fast song, everyone stood up, and every time there was a slow song, everyone sat down. And although I was happy to be sitting down during the slow songs, I don't like being dictated to when I stand and when I sit. I'm stubborn, I'm strong-willed, I like to make these decisions for myself. What can I tell you? And it was, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I've never seen a crowd of people, it was packed, I've never seen such a crowd of people experiencing such joy. Now, of course, everyone was there because they were a fan, so they were going to enjoy it. But real just joy, just happiness on people's faces. There's certain types of music that people will really involve themselves in, get involved in, get into, really enjoy on sort of a deeper level perhaps, but it won't necessarily give them this joy and exuberance. But the music, it's so powerful, it's so uplifting. They really were fantastic. So we thoroughly enjoyed the joy of that. And that kind of brings us up to date. Sunday, it's Tuesday today. I'm not working today, obviously, because I'm sitting here recording and podcasting for you. On Sunday, we went to Thaxted to visit Ben's family, and his brother and his partner Sasha were there. And we went out for dinner, which was very nice. Very, very, a very, very funny thing happened. Richard, who's Ben's dad, very generously was buying us all dinner. So he got the bill and didn't want to put his specs on because he doesn't like looking old in public, I think. So he got the card machine, tap, 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 tap. Yeah. Tap, 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 tap. Wasn't really paying much attention to what was going on. And then we said, we need to leave a tip. Shall we leave the tip? And Ben looked at the bill to see if the service had been included and said, oh, you've already left a tip. And Richard said, have I? And he said, well, yes, it's, you've added it on here. And he'd added a certain number of pounds, which I'm not going to tell you what that number was for very obvious reasons, which will become clear in a moment. And Richard was saying, I don't remember doing that. And then Sasha looked at me and went, I bet that's his PIN number. So when you get the card machine, before you put your PIN number in, sometimes it will say, do you want to leave a tip? You say yes, and you type in the amount you want, and then you proceed, and then you type in your PIN number. Well, the rather specific amount that Richard had left as a tip was his PIN number. Thankfully, his 4-digit PIN number is not a very high number of pennies. If it had started with a 9, for example, it could have been a very expensive tip indeed. Oh, how we laughed. The moral of the story is, if you need to wear glasses, bloody well wear them. It's not about vanity, it's about looking after your monetary finance issues. So we did have a giggle. Well, I think I don't have a great deal more to say. I've been thinking about this recently, and my podcasts are now so much less about me as a person and much more about the knitting that I'm doing. And I think that's because since Beyond the Fence, I'm just doing less, and I don't have any problems with that at all. And I'm only working at the box office 3, sometimes 4 days a week, and which normally I would be filling that with something else, something stressful, something interesting or exciting, which I could then tell you about. But actually, I'm not missing it, and this will change. There'll come a time, probably in another couple of months maybe, when I really want to get busy with another project and do something else. But at the moment, I'm just enjoying not having a stressful life. Ben is working on the next show that he's writing, and when we were down at the cafe today, he was saying, "Oh, can you help me with this lyric?" And I was like, I actually really don't want to go back to that place just yet. I don't want to put my mind in that kind of space where I'm thinking about writing lyrics and a musical, because I ain't gonna lie, Beyond the Fence has really taken it out of me. It was difficult, it was very stressful, and at times it was very unpleasant. That said, the end result is something I'm incredibly proud of, but I just need a bit of space. And I'm enjoying knitting. I'm enjoying trying to get my patterns up and running, the ones that I haven't done for a while, which hence working on the scarf earlier today. What I've been mostly spending my time on is, do you know what, I'm going to come to that in a minute. I haven't done any of my grammar rant or stuff on the podcast recently, and so I think it's time to get back into that. So let's have a grammar rant, shall we? This maybe, I can't even remember whether I've touched on this before. We were talking about pronouns over dinner, as you do with Ben's family, and the subject of I and me came up, and whether when you say my husband and I went to the shops, whether some people think that I is correct and me is wrong. Me and my husband went to the shops. Well, of course. Right, let's look at this in detail, because the rant I want to talk about is not the use of the pronoun, it's actually the concept of hypercorrection. Now, hypercorrection is something where somebody gets told, oh no, you mustn't use that word, so therefore they think that word must never be used, when actually the person doing the correcting was only saying you mustn't use that word in this context. And that's led to a real misunderstanding about I and me. So of course the general rule is, if you're talking about I and somebody else, or somebody else and me in a place in the sentence, that if you want to know which is the correct way around to use I or me, you remove the other person from the sentence, and what you would say would still be correct. So I wouldn't say me went to the shops. Therefore, it's not correct to say me and my husband went to the shops. You would say I went to the shops. So my husband and I went to the shops is therefore correct. Not my husband and me, or me and my husband. You can say I and my husband went to the shops perfectly well. It sounds a bit clumsy, but you can say it. It's just about I. Now, so therefore, I think some people have been told, no, don't say me and my husband went to the shops. So therefore they think that me is bad. Well, my father came to visit my husband and I. That's disgusting, and that's wrong. And even though people think, oh, my husband and I, that's the posh version. No, it's the incorrect version. My father came to visit my husband and me, or came to visit me and my husband. The reason for that is if you take out my husband from the equation, you get my father came to visit me, which is perfectly correct. My husband came to visit I. Nonsense! So my father came to visit my husband and I. Also nonsense. My father came to visit my husband and me. So we were talking about this, and my friend Abby, who was sat here a couple of episodes ago, she maintains that she went to a very posh school. She was taught very well, but she maintains that she was taught that me is wrong. I would argue that she was taught that me is wrong under certain circumstances, but that it wasn't necessarily explained very well to her. And that's what hypercorrection is. Hypercorrection is where people go, oh, I mustn't ever use that, rather than understanding the rules of when and where to use certain things. It happens in... I've got a funny feeling I might have talked about this before, but I'm going down this route now. It's too far to back out. It also happens in accent work. There are different accents, regional accents around the UK, and they pronounce words in different ways, and certain vowels will shift from one thing in one accent to another thing in another accent. And there's a big sort of north-south divide between the words up and up. Now, the sound, which is written as a U, but actually in the phonetic symbol looks like a little triangle without a base. It's that shape. Now the like an upside down V, that's a better way of describing it for those who aren't familiar with it. An upside down V, it sounds Now is a completely different sound. We have it down here in the south. I would say look up. Now I have the sound in look, but the sound in up. Whereas northerners, you people in the north of England, would very often, again, there are variations, please don't write in, would say look up. So and have the same vowel in both. So interestingly, when I was at drama college and friends of mine who came from the north of England were being taught how to speak RP, which is a sort of standard English, received pronunciation it stands for, with sort of no regional accent. The standard English is up, not up. So they were told, you don't say up, you say up. Now that led to hypercorrection, whereby, I am convinced I've talked about this before, please don't write in. I am convinced I have. So people would correct the up to an up, but would also therefore correct look to luck. And of course luck is a different word entirely. Luck is good fortune. So that's also a hypercorrection, because they were changing the to the They did it in all cases rather than just the ones where it was the desired ones. So that's really my rant today. I do have a little one as well, and this is going to apply to a lot of knitters and to a lot of podcasters, and I don't care if anyone's offended. My podcast, my rules. I'm sorry about that, but I really cannot bear the use of the word gifted, or the use of the word to gift as a verb. Give. We have a perfectly good verb for that. Give. He gave this to me. This was given to me. I gave it to somebody else. I don't need to say I gifted it to someone. The fact that you gave it to someone and didn't take any money for it implies the fact that it was a gift. Gift is therefore a noun and not a verb. Rant over. Clicked my fingers just at the end to punctuate that. Now I know that this is people are going to say, yes, but it's, you can give it to someone without it being a gift. You can give it to someone temporarily. I don't care. We don't need the use of that. Of course you can do that, but it's implied. If you say, that would be like he handed it to me, he passed it to me. That's also he gave. That's he gave to me without it being a gift. But to give it to somebody is necessarily it's a gift. I don't like it. Now I'm fully aware that there are no language police, and that language evolves and changes. So all of my grammar rants come with the same disclaimer: these are just my personal preferences. However, you won't hear me talking about gifting something. Also, while we're on the subject of knitting related stuff, not a big fan of knitting on something. I was knitting on that for 3 hours at the weekend. I was just knitting that for 3 hours at the weekend. You don't just knit on something, there's no difference. So once I get started, it's really hard to stop. I could go on forever. I'm going to get myself all wound up. Now, you might have noticed I don't have a great deal of hair on the top of my head. I nearly stopped that sentence earlier. So I don't have a great deal of hair. Well, the fact is I've got plenty. It's just on the bottom half of my head. I have shaved my head. It's something I do periodically. You won't have seen it before because I don't think I've done it in the time I've been an out and proud podcaster or an Instagrammer, but I have done it several times before in the past. The first and most notable time was when I played Hedwig in the West End, in Hedwig and the Angry Inch, the original West End production, the only West End production in fact, and I shaved my head completely. That you can still see I do have a little bit of stubbly hair on there, but that time it was a Gillette job. It was Mach 3 product placement. It was probably shaved all over, shiny, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't have a beard then either, so I just had this sort of white head. And the perfect canvas for all the makeup that had to go on for Hedwig. And every now and then I shave my head. I thought, I've got plenty of hair on the bottom half of my face. It's time to, it's sunnier, it's nice, it's warmer. But what it did mean was I'm getting a chilly head. It's not that warm outside yet. One might think it is, but it's really, really not. So I have been wearing hats and scarves, which I don't mind at all because it just prolongs the knitting season, which I really, really do enjoy. So if anyone was going, what's happened to Nathan? That's why. So I do shave my head every now and then, and I really like it. I like mixing things up. Every now and then I get a little bit restless in my life, and I just maybe I'm getting to the point now that I was talking about earlier, that I do want to do something different and not have such an easy, restful life again. Maybe that's what this is all about. I like to change things up, so which is why I've ended up with tattoos and why I have pierced various parts of my body over the years, and yeah, so maybe that's what this is. Interesting. Sometimes it doesn't do to do too much self-therapy because you never know what you might uncover, but I think it's always good, and as we know, that's what I've got this chappy here, self-reflection. So that brings me on very neatly to a missing long and off must. I didn't get much sleep last night, my words are failing me. A long awaited and much missed section of this podcast, which is What's Tat? Oh God, blimey, it doesn't get any easier to say that without cringing. I Instagrammed a photograph of my feet the other day, and for anyone who hates feet as much as I do, I don't really know what made me do it. I was just out of the bath and I was just looking down and I saw my feet and I thought, and I didn't have any socks on the needle, about which more in a moment. And I thought it was time to cast on some new socks, and that's the perfect illustration. But I have it on my ankle. I have a tattoo on my shin, really, the side of my shin. It's going to be really, really hard to get this in shot. But you can't really see anything at all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring. There you are. You're not that end, are you? At that end. I'm going to bring my foot close to the camera, if you'll pardon. So I'm going to try and do this without falling off. So here we are. There's the tattoo. It's little Chinese symbols, and when people ask me what it means, I more often than not tell them it means number 42 with egg fried rice. Of course it doesn't, but it is, in fact. I wonder if I've got any viewers in any countries where these characters are used as part of your language.
who can read it for me. But I have had it read for me. I had a motorbike accident a few years ago, and I damaged the same leg, but I damaged here. You can see the scar just there, and I had to go and have a little operation to close up. They had to cut into it and close up the muscle on the inside and sew me back up again. And while I was, it was all done under local anaesthetic. It was revolting. While I was there, one of the nurses was engaging me in conversation and said, "What's that?" essentially. And I said, "Well, I believe that it's my birth sign, which is Cancer." And I said, "But the thing is, I had it done on an island off the coast of Sicily, where of course the language that they speak there is Italian. And I knew that the Italian for cancer is il cancro. And I didn't know whether these characters represent the sounds, whether it's a phonetic language, whether they represent the sounds il cancro, or whether they depict what it means. Or indeed whether those two things are different from each other. I don't know. Or because those sounds might have, if it was phonetic, it may have been the sounds il cancro, or it may have been the sounds for whatever the Cancer sign of the zodiac is in Mandarin, or I'm not entirely sure what language that is. Chinese. I get that wrong. And don't write in. And so many disclaimers. This must be one of the most un-PC podcasts out there. That's how it is. You'll either watch and enjoy, or you won't. And you'll mark it with a thumbs down on YouTube, as tends to happen quite often on my podcasts. And hopefully, if you don't like what you're hearing now, you'll just move on and you won't bother to watch another one. I mean, why would you spend time watching something you don't enjoy? Stop. Just, life's too short. So I said to this nurse, "Well, I believe it's my birth sign, which is Cancer, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't even know if it's accurate." I said, "It could mean number 42 with egg fried rice for all I know." And so she said, "Oh, well, we've got someone here who can tell." And she called over a surgery technician, Mai Ling, and her name was Mai Ling, and she came over, and she was a Chinese lady, and who had not been party to this conversation. And she said, "What does that mean?" And Mai Ling said, it's a zodiac, it's the crabs." I was like, "Oh." She went Italian. Oh, it's a crab. No, there's no way I can do it without it becoming really offensive. I'm sorry. She said, "It's the zodiac, it's the crabs." And now the thing is, here's another thing. Let's get started on this. If I were to impersonate someone with an Indian accent or a Pakistani accent or a Chinese accent, I throw myself open to being called racist and offensive. If I imitate somebody with a Liverpudlian accent, a Birmingham accent, or a Newcastle accent, or even an Australian accent, someone not even in this country but still with the same sort of ethnicity that I have, then that's not considered racist at all. And it's just as a Liverpool accent is just as alien to the way I speak as a Chinese accent is. There shouldn't be any difference. Sometimes we live in a PC world gone mad, and I do regret and miss simpler times and easier ways of being. I think something is only really offensive if there's offence intended behind it. And if someone takes offence at something where there was no offence intended, then the problem possibly lies with the person who took offence rather than the person who did the offending. A lot of you are not going to agree with me on that. That's okay. So anyway, Mai Ling came over and she said, "It's the crabs." So I have had it officially read, but that was a few years ago. It may have changed, evolved and spread and diluted itself since then. I don't know if it would still be readable to somebody who reads those kind of characters. And there we are, ladies and gentlemen, this week's episode of What's That? I do know how to get myself into some scrapes, don't I? I think that's okay. I think it's all right. So,
Let's get on with some knitting stuff. I have been... there is one thing, while I'm talking about what I want to do, there's something I want to bring up on my Ravelry page here. I'll talk about that in a moment. So there is... we're doing this thing again. I'm trying to concentrate on two things at once. That's people. Let me just see if I can quickly type this in. Talk amongst yourselves. I will be with you in a moment. No, I don't think I can do this, but I'll try. No, I can't. So I can't find what I'm looking for. I really should. As always, when I first started podcasting, I had all of these really, really fine intentions of planning everything and setting everything up beforehand, and it doesn't work so much now. Let me see if I can search messages. That's really what I'm looking for. Search. So there is something I want to, there we are, brilliant. Yes, I found exactly what I'm looking for here. So I'm really sorry. So podcasts I've been watching recently include Eric Lutz. Last time I called you Eric Lutz. Hypercorrection. Of the Sticks Plus Twine. Podcast. I'm enjoying Eric's stuff a lot. And Eric and I are about to get in touch with each other. We've messaged a few times. Hi, Eric. We're about to get in touch through Mina on for a reason I can't talk about. I don't even know why I brought that up. I just wanted to say that, Eric, if you're watching this before we've had a chance to message each other, then I'll be in touch very shortly, and it's Mina's fault. And obviously Mina Phillip is the knitting expat. I dip into her podcast whenever I possibly can. I've been watching a little bit of the Little Bobbins podcast and Hello Danny, and I've also watched a little bit of Tiny Paper Foxes, which is new to me. Hello Jenny. And the Grocery Girls, Tracy and Jodie. Hello. Who else have I been watching? I want Tilly, we need you back, please. James, if you're watching, I know you're not knitting very much at the moment, but that would be nice. Z Shane, now where have you been? I miss you. And who else hasn't been podcasting for a wee while? They're the ones I'm missing at the moment. Obviously, I'm watching Dan and Kay with the Bakery Bears. Who are you watching? Why don't you tell me who your favourite podcasters are, because hopefully there will be some there that some brilliant ones that I can get some recommendations for some new ones, but I may not know yet. So that would be great. So if you can, maybe I'll start a thread on my Ravelry groups, Sockmatician. And if we can say who are you watching, who are your favourite podcasters, you don't need to feel any obligation to say that I'm your favourite podcaster. I'll take that as a given. We can move on to your second and third favourite choices. So that's some podcasting news, a bit of community stuff there for you. I have been contacted by Petra, who is Nellie Maus on Ravelry, and Petra's in Germany. Hello, Petra. And she has very, very kindly offered a giveaway for a lucky viewer of the Sockmatician podcast. And basically, this is how it works. I am, as everybody knows, I'm a big champion of helping new customers, and I know that I have, not new customers, small businesses, and I know that I have quite a large reach with this podcast. There's a couple of thousand, there's about 3,500 subscribers and several thousand views for every episode so far. So that's great, and it's very useful for other people. So if I can use that to help other people, then I'm very, very happy, and I don't need anything in return. I don't want to be inundated. I've said all this before. I don't want to be inundated, so this just becomes one commercial podcast, and let's let's just tout loads and loads of different things. However, I'm very happy to scratch people's backs and hopefully it'll help them out. So Petra has got in touch, and of course, having one of her lovely project bags as a prize giveaway on this podcast will hopefully benefit her, but it's also a nice thing to do. What makes the world go round? Nice thing for you, nice thing for me, nice things all round. So what Petra has done is, I'm going to just show this bag first of all, which is she's also sent me a bag to keep for myself, which is very generous, and you didn't need to do it, and I didn't expect it, and I don't expect anyone else to do it as either. But thank you, Petra, thank you very much. I love my bag. I'm not going to show that one yet. I'm going to show the prize bag first. So this is Petra's prize giveaway. So cute. Piggies in an orchard. Very, very nice. Now, Petra works under the name of Nest Design, and it's N-A with an umlaut, H-S-T, Nest Design. And this is her large wedge project bag. It's really nicely put together. It's interfaced, it's quite sturdy, but it's also, there's some rattling, and you'll hear about that in a minute. That's not the bag that's rattling, that's some stuff inside it. What I love about it, I haven't unwrapped this yet, is the little progress marker not really a progress marker, it's a zipper pull. It's, you might be able to see there, it's actually a green, you can see it, it's a green peace sign, which very perfectly matches my little peace sign tattoo just there. It's a campaign for nuclear disarmament. So I love that, and it's 100% cotton, and it says this bag is machine washable at 30 degrees. Please wash together the same colours, of course. Use a laundry bag so the lobster claw is protected to prolong the enjoyment with your new drawstring bag. And what I love about it here is it's got a big, sturdy hand strap. I think I've said this before, but I'm a massive fan of bags with a hand strap. The one I'm using at the moment doesn't have one, and I don't mind that. Again, it's a lovely gift, so I don't want to make anyone feel bad. But I'm happy to carry it around. But I have to say, I do like a nice sturdy hand strap. And it also comes with a little tag here that says, handmade with love, Nest Design. A little bit of focus, something like that. And on the back, it has her little owl, which is her logo. And there it is. Oh, I just pulled it off. Oh, it's just untied. I can tie that on. I'm so sorry. So this is not for me. Now, inside is a whole heap of goodies, which are also for the lucky prize winner. I'm going to tuck this inside for now. Do you know what? I say for now. I guarantee you I'll forget to put it on, and that's where it's going to be. So if I put it in there, at least it's there, and you've got all the information. I know what I'm like. I'm never going to try that. I'm just not going to do it. I know I'm not going to do it. So inside, there is a matching little notions pouch with a matching drawer pull, zipper pull, and this is a notions pouch, and it's all the same stuff. And again, it's really, really cute. It's got the little piggies up on their in their orchard. I really like it, and it's zipped. And this one has got really, really cheery coloured stripes inside. And you know what? There's so much bigger than just notions. You could use this for all kinds of other things. I really like it. The bag itself has a pocket on the inside made with the same fabric as the outer layer, and that's a really, really good size pocket. You could fold up your pattern, you could keep it in there, or you all sorts really. But now let's get on to the things inside. I don't want to open this because it's not for me, but I will. I'll actually show you in a second the things that are in it, because I have a similar goodie bag in my gift. My gifted bag, my gift. I'm going to be such a grumpy old man. I'm going to be so obnoxious when I'm old. It'll be unbearable. Starts me to go on, I'd say. So there's all sorts of things in here. There's a postcard. There's some lovely stitch markers here. There's chocolates and sweeties. There's a strap, like a hand strap, which I don't think is necessary for this, but you could attach it to most other things. It's got a little sheep on it, and a little fabric case. It's this black case here, which has cupcakes and tea things on it. Here is actually a little pouch for holding pocket tissues. pocket handkerchiefs. So that's very nice. That's very, very lovely. So more on how to win that in a moment. So Petra, thank you so much. They're lovely. They're really, really nice. And for me, oh, actually, better put the Notions pouch back in the bag. Otherwise, it will go astray because I know what I'm like. At least I know my own shortcomings. I think that's part and parcel of being a rounded human being, isn't it? So this is mine. Da da da. Ba 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 ba. 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 Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Do 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 do. I am going to regret that. I don't know why I allowed myself to continue with that, but there we are. It's in the podcast now. Look at this. I have Superman all over this fabulous bag. Could not be more suitable for stuff for the boys. I love it. Inside as well, I have a matching Notions pouch, which is red inside, like his underpants, like the thought. They're very nice indeed. Although his underpants on there. I don't know what's happened to his underpants there. I wonder if he's weed himself. What do you think? I'm sorry, Petra. I do love it. Inside mine, I have opened my little pouch. There's all... No apologies. My podcast, my rules, don't care. I also have... oh, do you know what? I can show you on here the little peace sign. If I turn it around there, the little peace sign properly. It's nice. Mine happens to be on a lobster claw, so that'd be useful for a progress marker. I've got a lovely postcard. Lovely, really lovely. And so here we go. This is Petra's business card. So Petra Finken. She makes all kinds of stuff, and she's on Etsy. Etsy. Now, of course, Etsy, her spelling is going to be a little bit different because she has an umlaut on her business name, and the internet doesn't cope with umlauts. So with spelling reform, she is. It's on the back actually. It says here it's etsy.com/de for Germany /shop/Naest design, but Naest is Naehst design. I'll put all details on the below this post on Ravelry. So if you want to head over to Petra's shop and check out all of her stuff there, then please do. And let her know if you buy anything and it's as a result of seeing her stuff on here, because I'm sure she'd appreciate knowing that her generosity in sending this stuff to me and onward to one of you has come to something and wasn't for nothing. Altruism aside, this is business. So there she is, and I've got, here's my version. So rather than teacups, I've got cars, because this is all about boy stuff. So this is really, really cute material. And inside, it's got a little packet of tissues. So if I were to open those, and then just sort of keep them nice and clean and usable in a bag, because sometimes, you know, when the paper wrinkles up and then they all get tatty, nasty. Very useful. And she makes those herself as well. There's I haven't opened this yet. I'm going to open it now. Chocolate. I love chocolate. Lint chocolate, and it's a sheep. Brilliant, brilliant. I've only just seen that. That's amazing. Thank you for that. And I've got one of the little hand straps as well, and mine, because of where I live, I love the Union flag. I think the Union Jack is, I think we've got the best flag in the world, us and FYR Macedonia. Yeah, so you can use that as a clip-on hand wrist strap for anything really, which is very nice. Thank you for that. And in here, there's I've actually broken into this already because I'm using some of these progress markers, stitch markers. Some lovely stitch markers with, they spell my name. Actually, I think I might have left some over there. Yes, they spell my name. There's one letter for each of the letters of my name. Oh no, they're here. There's one for each of the letters in my name. Nathan is what I wanted to say. And these ones here say, what a buzz. What a buzz. Or buzz a what? German sweets, marvellous. German sweets, love it. And some other progress markers here. There's a heart, one that says create, and one which is a little colourful sheep. You see there. So the heart, is that going to focus? So the heart is the one under this side, the little coloured sheep there, and it says the word create in the middle one. And I like progress markers. I've only recently got into using them. I think they're great on socks. They're great for, because socks have such tiny stitches and tiny rows, it's sometimes really useful to sort of put a progress marker every 20 rows or something like that, so you can just quickly count how many rows you've done. If you, for example, if I want to do 60 rounds for the leg of one of my socks, then after 20 I can put a progress marker, after 20 more I put another one, rather than just move it, and then I can go 1, 2, it's 40. And sucking eggs, Granny, by any chance? But you know, it's useful, and I'm a new convert to this concept, so thank you for those, very much appreciated. So there we are, those are my, and a little bit of bubble wrap, yay, I love bubble wrap. Oh, I could do that all day. Marvellous. Expired. So this is the bag from Petra. That's the one for me. This is the one with the pigs that you can win yourself. And now I wanted to try and find a way that was a really fun way of doing it, rather than just opening a thread and doing something. I want to sort of get you thinking about stuff. So what I would like is people to, the rules of this giveaway are you need to be a member of the group. I think that's only fair. I think you also need to follow me on Instagram, and I would like you to Instagram a photograph of yourself. I'm making this up as I go on. Of yourself with your favourite ever knitted object that you still own. Obviously, if you've knitted something, given it away, you can't do that. But I want to see you and your favourite knitted object, either wearing it or just showing it, something like that. So just take a little selfie and Instagram that using the hashtag SockmaticianBag Giveaway. SockmaticianBag Giveaway. Doesn't matter if you use lowercase or capitals. Hashtag SockmaticianBag Giveaway. Now I will, on the next podcast episode, so I do this every 2 weeks or so you've got 2 weeks to get this done, I will close that down and I will look at all of the entries there, and I will, I'm going to make it a little bit more tricky. I want the photograph to be you, your favourite knitted object, but I also want it to be in a location that, this is good, I want you to photograph yourself in a location that you feel in some way sums you up or represents you as a person. This could be just your house, it could be your favourite place to knit, it could be your favourite, a local landmark that is famous in your area, something that sums you up, and a little blurb in the comment about why you've chosen to do it there. Yeah, that's got you thinking, hasn't it? So, photograph yourself and your favourite knitted item in a location that sums you up, describe why you've done that, and use the hashtag Sockmaticianbag Giveaway. I will then look through all of those and I will choose a winner. It's not going to be random, I'm going to choose it. So be creative, make it look fabulous, set it up so that everything looks amazing. Go to town, really be amazing on this, really be, just make this the most wonderful photograph. I'm not picking my ear, look, I'm scratching my head in front of my ear. I just realised what that looked like. But So that is for anybody. So follow me on Instagram and be an Instagram user, obviously. If you're not, it's very easy to join, and you'll open your eyes to a whole world of knitting community, which are right there on Instagram. I love it. So that's what I want you to do, and then that bag might be yours. It'll wing its way to the lucky winner afterwards. So Petra Finken, thank you very much. I can't wait to deliver that bag to a lucky recipient. It's going to be brilliant. Let's move on. What are my whips? Okay, confession time. I promised last time that I would work on piano number 3. I've been a bit sidetracked. I haven't done it. I haven't touched it. So I'm not even going to show it. It's the black and orange scarf, the one that's cables, double knitted, knit on the bias. I love it, and I really can't wait to get back to it. The reason I haven't is because I've been knitting on other... I just did it myself. Knitting other things. Look, you see, it's like a virus. You hear it too many times and it gets right inside you, because I've been knitting too many other things, and I spend lots of time doing other stuff as well. So I haven't got anything to show on piano number 3, but that's okay. I do have 2 other whips to show you. One of which it doesn't look like I've done very much on it. I started showing it last time. It was my purple hoop that caused me so much mirth. Well, I did go quite a lot further with it, and I ripped it all back. I completely started again. I wasn't happy at all with how the edge was looking. I had done a 6-row garter border, and I hadn't really paid attention. I didn't know much about the structure of what would happen here, but what happens when garter stitch meets stocking stitch is it can just fold, and it just wants to flip, and it literally flipped and folded back on itself. It wasn't a curling, it folded in half, and there was nothing I was going to be able to do to save that. So I thought, well, I don't want that. I don't want that. So I ripped it all out completely, and I've now gone for a corrugated rib. A corrugated rib edge, which is curling a little bit. I think it's going to be much better with a block. It'll stretch out nicely. Also, that meant that because this is the project that I'm using, Easy Knits Big Boy cakes on a gradient. So I've got 5 colours of grey wool here in gradiated saturation, and the Big Boy cake here of the purple. The Big Boy is, I always forget this, it's 70% blue, Exmoor blue face, and 20% alpaca and 10% nylon. And it's a fingering weight. It's actually quite fine, it's quite lofty, a little bit hairy because of the alpaca. It's really nice, I like it. So, where have I got to so far? Here we are. Doesn't look like I've got a huge amount done. I've left this for a few days as well. So here's my corrugated rib border, and I did 1 round with each of the 5 colours of the grey. So you can see it's darker grey at the bottom, fading to almost white at the top. Now the design is coming along very nicely. It's this checkerboard design. I'm coming off my needles, hang on. Let me just get those back on, there we are. No panic, all done. So the design is coming on quite nicely. It's this zigzag checkerboard of large flowers. There's half a large flower at the bottom of each diamond there, and these much smaller ones as well. It's hard really to see much of it here, but I'm really enjoying doing it. My stranding is coming along really rather well. That's what I'm looking like on the back. Everything is, there's no puckering really to worry about on this side. It's curling a bit, but again that's just the nature of the beast, and that's what it's going to see. It's got some good stretch to it. It doesn't feel like there's anything pulling horribly, so I think I've really sorted things out. I'm very happy with this. Above the corrugated, I'm looking at the wrong part of the screen, hello. Hi, nice to see you. I'm Nathan, love to meet you. Above the corrugated rib part, if I can get it to show on screen, I've done a Vickle braid. Now the Vickle braid is open to interpretation. Some people
call what I would call a Latvian or an Estonian braid, a wriggle braid, and that's where you use two colours and you're stranding on the outside, twisting them around each other, and then you do it twice, and it makes a two-colour braid. Well, this is called a lateral braid or a wriggle braid. It's just done with one yarn at the time, and you work on every stitch. It's very labour intensive. It took a very long time, and there's 360 stitches around this row, and you have to do quite a lot of work on every single stitch to get it, but it's really, really pretty. It's just this horizontal row of V's that work their way around the entire circumference. So the plan is that I've started with the dark grey. You can see I'm already on to the lighter colour that's coming. So I'm going to work 9 rows or rounds of each of the colours here, and together they look like that, all very lovely. Let's put them in depth order so you can see excuse me, so you can see the full gradient. There we are. That's probably more likely, more useful. So there we are, and I'm going to use 9 rows of each of those, working from the darker on the outside to the lighter. There'll be 18 rows of the lightest one in the middle, and then 9 rows going back to the darker one, so it'll be lighter around the centre band, and then I'll work another wriggle braid, then another section of ribbing, and it's going to be a long cowl, and I'm really, really enjoying it. The stranding, it's obviously something I'm doing. The stranding, I can't do it for very long at a time. It puts strain on my hands in a way that double knitting doesn't, and single-faced normal knitting doesn't either. So I need to look into what I'm doing and why that's causing me so much strain. So I get a bit achy after a while. But I'm really happy with the tension on this. It's better than the first time round, so I'm really glad that the garter border was flipping, because it's made me examine what I was doing with the tension. I'm better at it on this, so it's all good, and I'm really happy with that. So the other whip I have on the go is not one of my own designs. I felt that it was time for me to learn a little bit more about shawl construction, because I do have some shawl designs sort of ruminating around here, but I just wanted to get a little bit better at knowing how the shaping of shawls works. And there's a wonderful design by Very Busy Monkey. Oh, it's over here, hang on. It's called the Geology Shawl. Paid for pattern on Ravelry, and it's really, really lovely. Really nice. I think it's called the Geology Shawl because it's got 6 different layers, and each layer has a different stitch pattern. The first one is stocking stitch, the next one is moss stitch, the one after that is very simple lace. After that you've got this sort of zigzags texture done with knits and pearls. Then you have a star stitch layer, and then another little bit of lace to give it a scalloped edge there. And it's really, really nice. On this, whatever yarn this is for the pattern, it looks fabulous and there's wonderful stitch definition. I, of course, have chosen to use a yarn with no stitch definition whatsoever, rather like my diction. It's a beautiful yarn. It's Veil Elite. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. Let me find the tag. I did have it. I had it all set up here. I don't have the tag to hand. It's called Veil. I'll put the details here. And obviously it's on the needles, and it's in colourway blah blah brown. It's 70% baby alpaca and 30% viscose from bamboo. It's really soft. It's really good. I can't feel it on my face anymore. I can now feel things on my head. It's really soft. It's really very, very beautiful. Obviously it's going to need blocking quite severely, and unfortunately, which is the right side, this is the right side, that's what happens when you don't put your phone on airplane mode, which is my camera. Your husband calls in the middle of a taping session. He wasn't to know. So I was saying, this is going to, unfortunately, I don't think this is showing up much of the stitch definition. The lace panel is very pretty, and I think that's working very nicely. It's hard to see much of it at all. Can you see the little zigzag? Yeah, you can. You can see the sort of zigzag stepped pattern in this section here. It's all good. It's only a one. I mean, Hello. I don't have any idea really how long this will block out. I'm nearly done with it. I'm on layer 5 out of 6. I'm doing the star stitch layer now. I'm enjoying doing it. I'm enjoying it a lot, and I'm enjoying working with this yarn. It's very, very, very nice as it goes through your hands. I think it's probably not the best yarn to show off. Excuse me, to show off the intricacies of the pattern, but it'll be very warm and it'll be very nice. And you know, I like it. You can't really see much of the star pattern yet. It's just the first row underneath these little clusters going on there. But it's coming together. I've spent sort of 4 evenings working on this and a bit of time in the day as well. I've really enjoyed working with it. It's a well-written pattern. I'm really enjoying it. And it has taught me a lot about the ratios of how to get certain shapes by where you need to do increases and how frequently. So that's been very useful exercise for me. And I've got some of my stitch markers from Petra on it. There's the A from Nathan. So that's basically what I've been working on whips wise. Let's put that away before I get everything tangled up horribly. And I've got an FO! You saw this last time. You saw the half FO as it was. It was 1 sock. Now it's 2! Yay! So this is these are the sample socks that I've been making for my recipe for toe-up socks with German short rows with a on the heel, flap and gusset, and that's really what it's my holy grail that I've been working on, trying to get a recipe that will work with lots and lots of different sizes and yarn weights with just a little bit of simple maths, meaning that anybody can sort of measure their foot, measure their gauge, find out what their base number is, and then create these socks. Now, I have to say, I'll stop doing that because it's making my stomach hurt. These socks, I'm going to show you in close-up, these socks are probably the best fitting socks I have ever made for myself. Particularly the second one. I did make some little alterations between the first and the second one just to improve it even more, and absolutely it fits me so snugly. It's wonderful. It starts off with Judy's Magic cast on, Judy Becker's Magic cast on, some toe increases, and it's just a plain vanilla sock, but the joy of it for me is the fact that it's toe up, but it has the standard gusset here with a slip stitch heel and heel flap and a heel turn, and working on it his way on up there. What I'm really so proud of is, I said all this last time, but I'm so proud of the fact that I've worked out a little trick for making sure there's just no sign of any holes at the top of the gusset, which I know is the bane of a lot of knitters' lives. There's no chance of there being a hole there at all. It's foolproof in that respect. Sorry, Aloysius. It's foolproof in that respect. And I've now finished writing the pattern, and I finished writing the pattern up, the recipe I should say, and it's being test knit with Catherine and with Mina, who I'm just waiting for some final information back from them just to make sure everything adds up. They don't have any particular feedback about things I could improve, and I could not be more excited about it. I want this pattern to go viral, because I think toe-up socks are very, very useful, and a lot of people don't like the fit of an afterthought heel or a short row heel or anything like that, and a lot of people don't like doing wrap and turn. So German short rows are so easy and so invisible as well. Really, you don't feel them, you can't see them, there's no holes where you do the turning for the heels, which is brilliant. I haven't got any water, I'm getting a bit hoarse from talking so long. The gusset is, for me, the best shape. I've got quite a high instep, so I like having the sort of the gusset shaping. I also like having the reinforced heel at the back with the slip stitches, because I'm quite hard wearing on that part of my socks.
I also do quite like the fact that that you can go to the end of the yarn. I've got barely any yarn left at the end of the ball from this one because it was 2 50-gram balls. I just knit to the end, and I think if you like what a toe-up sock gives you, but you like the cuff-down gusset construction, this is going to be absolutely the sock pattern for you. I'm going to release it as a paid-for pattern because I put a lot of work into it, but I want it to be nice and cheap. It's going to be about £2. So, and it's not just one pair of socks. You can, if you wanted to employ the same recipe for a DK weight or a worsted weight, all you need to do is find out what your stitch count needs to be for how many stitches are going to fit you around the foot and around the leg, which will be the same number, and then you can do exactly the same pattern using whatever yarn weight and needle combination that you desire. So it all depends on what your gauge is to get the perfect fit. And I do believe it will work every time. I could not be more excited about this. So that's been taking up quite a lot of my time, getting it right and getting the language right, so that the math is incredibly simple, but it's all based around that one number and sort of fractions thereof. I said fractions. Don't panic. Honestly, it's like this number divided by 4 gives you this. It's that simple. So that will hopefully be up and running within the next week. So it's the 3rd of May now. I'm hoping by the 10th of May I'll have all the feedback from Mina and Catherine that I need, and I will be able to release that, hopefully error-free. I can never guarantee that my patterns are error-free, and I'm always quite glad when someone lets me know, because it makes me go, oh, I get cross with myself, but I'd rather know that there's something that I can fix and then send out an amendment. And I'm not one for errata pages, so I will always, because my patterns are not in print, apart from the 2 that were in magazines, I will always send out amended PDFs to everyone who's bought one, and that's part of the Ravelry system. That's great, and it's free of charge for anyone who has already purchased. So that's what I've been doing, and I can't tell you, I love these socks. I think the fit around the heel is so good, the shaping around here, particularly that no-hole gusset, which is it's the holy grail of knitting. And it dawned on me that so many people get a hole there just because it's a simple trick, but it's just that people are knitting too many rounds and then trying to fill the hole. Don't fill the hole, just don't make a hole in the first place. So I want this to go as viral as possible, so if you know somebody who might be interested in this kind of sock, then please let them know, please share the word. If you're, I'm going to send out a few test copies to other people, just as a sort of a little bit of promo, and I have no compunction about doing that. I want as many people to know about it as possible. So if you do get one of them, share the word, please, because I think it's really fun to knit, and it's fun to do a little bit of maths, and I loved it. I love it. Love these socks, and the colour's not bad either. It's so much fun, pretty. They're actually slightly different colours. I didn't realise that. Can you see that on screen? This one is slightly brighter than this one, but I don't mind that. They're not really a matched pair anyway, because I made some amendments to the pattern after I made the first one, and the second one fits me so much better. So that's really it. That's all I have to talk about. Coming up, is there anything I should let you know about? Yes, I'm working on the scarf. After that, I shall be working on the pattern for Genesis. There's a lot of the groundwork has been done. I'm not saying this is going to happen anytime soon. I don't have to bring it here because it's a bit chilly today and it's so lovely to wear. I'm not going to say that this is going to happen anytime soon, but I really do love my shawl and I want to get it done. So I part of me might be procrastinating because I do like the idea that at the moment this is a one-off, it's unique, it's the only one in the world, but I know there's people out there who are up for the challenge, and it's a big make. It's a really, really big make, and it's a big write-up as well. So you know all this. I am delighted to come to the end of this probably fairly shorter episode by my own standards. I hope you're all well. I hope you continue with happy knitting. I haven't had any questions in my podcast questions thread on my group in Ravelry for a little while, so if there is anything you want to know, then please feel free to pop something in there. What I've really enjoyed recently is there's a bit of more interplay between different members of my group chatting on the forums, so please continue with that. I love watching your conversations and taking part as well. Dan from Bakery Bears, hello Dan, hello Kay. Dan is doing a double knitting knit along on the Bakery Bears podcast at the moment, and he is making fabulous progress with his own double knitting, so I've been watching that with great joy as well. And I think that's all I have to say. So although this podcast episode may be a finished object, remember, life is a work in progress. Just take it one stitch at a time. Ossa.